Not big enough. That's not gonna work. All right, gotta get the air. That's a little better. I have to be honest with you guys, I don't have a lot going on this week, but I wanted to put a little something out to tell you what's going on, or at least what I'm up to. And right now, pretty sure you can kind of tell what I'm up to. It seems pretty obvious. Long story short, I have really went down a rabbit trail, so to speak, and ever since I put the truck together, I really wasn't happy with the way the wiring was routed and some things like that. So I kind of started digging into it, and well, now I'm at this juncture. So this is the harness that comes out of the firewall right here. And you can see I have it all exposed. And I've actually got it broken off to its different branches. Like, for example, this is for the wiper motor. And what I've been doing is, well, since I run a standalone Holley EFI terminator system, all the original EFI stuff on here I don't need anymore. And it's just kind of in the way. And it used to run all the way on the firewall to this side. And it had these connectors that go nowhere. And it also contained the lights for the front of the truck on the passenger side, which are right here. Well, now that I've got everything undone, I can remove all that nasty wiring from the firewall and kind of reroute things. And that's kind of what I'm in the middle of right now. I'm looking at trying to figure out how to depin or depin some of this wiring harness and stuff like that and get it out of the way so it's not a problem. Now I still plan to use the factory relay box, and I've actually already cleaned up a bunch of wiring having to do with that, but there's a lot of cleanup to do, and this stuff is very time consuming. I enjoy wiring, most people do not. The thing is, you do have to be patient with it to be able to be successful with it and make it look nice and clean. So it's going to take me a little bit of a while to get all this stuff kind of refigured out. But I started doing this because I'm going to have to run an ignition switch hot to my transmission. And I'm installing a transmission cooler, hopefully this weekend, as long as I got enough time. And it's going to need some wiring to go to the fan that's going to be running it. So that's kind of why I went down this road and where I'm at now. And eventually I'd like to put a Holley dash in this as well. So that's even more stuff later on. But overall, I got a lot of work to do, even though it's just wiring, but it's time consuming. I did want to show you guys something. I had it pulled up on my phone. I hope I still do. I go to this place called alldataDIY.com, and it's a subscription, and I'm not sure how well you guys can see some of this stuff, but it's a subscription service that gives you like online service manual stuff. It's not the cheapest in the world, but like for 60 bucks, I think they even have a special right now. And I promise you, I'm not sponsored. I just did this today, but I've done it in the past recently. It's like 60 bucks a year or like 20 bucks a month, but you can download all these kind of diagrams and stuff. So what I'm looking at here, for example, is this right here is a pinout of the main connector on the truck, which is this right here. So I'm going through it, making sure I know where things go, and if keeping things that I do need, like headlights and turn signals and brights and all that other stuff. And it's going to allow me to figure out what I need to remove. Like, for example, on here, if we look at this ABS warning light. I don't have ABS on this truck anymore, so we don't need a warning light. So that's kind of what I use this for. It really helps you kind of understand where the wiring is going on the truck. Even somewhat how it's wired or routed, I should say. Additionally, it's like a service manual, so you can go in there and find out how to, you know, do your control arms or you know, other mechanical things. I can't find anything on a 5.3 LS for a Dakota in there, and I just don't know why. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you because it's been a fantastic resource for me. And one day I'll probably put a bunch of online resources together that I use to kind of, you know, build this truck and do research. You know, one of those is actually just rockauto.com, because you can go in there and look at parts and get dimensions and things to that extent. So that actually is also awesome. Again, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I've had some awesome help from Brian Tooley Racing and Circle D Transmissions, Circle D Specialties, not transmissions. So they've helped me out on some parts for the truck and, you know, worked with me on it. But there's no way that I'm sponsored by any means. But this stuff does come in very handy if you take the time to kind of dig in and do the research. And that's kind of why I've been able to, you know that the transmission cross member was going to work. I know that if I want to change out my master cylinder to a D100 when I change to different disc brakes, I know it's going to work just because I've been able to do that stuff. So a lot of jibber jabber on this video, I guess you could say, but just explaining how if you sit down and do your research, it makes it all worthwhile. Additionally, I ordered some Tessa tape because I'll be wrapping up all of my wiring stuff that I do here with some nicer tape instead of just some gunky old electrical tape, and I think it's going to make a pretty big difference. Got a couple things to do here with the Holly harness. This is some wiring that comes out right here, and it's just kind of inconvenient. One of them, this goes to the fuel pump in the back of the truck. This wire right here goes to, where does it go? It goes to the alternator, and this one right here I believe goes to the tachometer. Well, it's just the way it is routed, it doesn't really work out. So what I'm going to be doing is routing the yellow wire or the green wire back up through the harness. Same thing for this tachometer wire, and then I'm going to route this wire through the other way of the harness so that it's all nice and clean. So that's just some of the things I'm doing. It's unique to my build. You know, I'm not really going to show you guys in depth on that because you're going to have to do your own projects and kind of figure out what works for you. What works for me isn't always going to work for you. So just something to keep in mind. Other than that, I'm going to get back on it and kind of mess around with this for a little bit. And then I'm going to work on see if we can pull the wheel off the Nova here, hopefully tomorrow night. I'll show you guys that and see if we can look and see if that's where the brake fluid is leaking out of, because I'd like to drive this car. It's really, really nice outside, so it's time to drive it. Anyways, other than that, I do have one more thing to share with you guys. Like I said, it's probably not going to be a very long video, but I have worked out an agreement with my work that's going to give me a little bit more time to work on the YouTube stuff. So that actually doesn't start till next week, which is why I'm not in a big hurry to kind of get stuff done right now. I've got a lot going on family-wise and a lot going on at the household and stuff like that. So it's just a busy week. I'm not able to get under the truck like I would like to. I just got 30 minutes here and there. So if I can get 30 minutes here and there, I'll take it. But I think I'm going to be able to put out hopefully better videos and a little bit more consistently. And if I can get out 2 a week or at least a couple extra a month, I'm going to try to do that. So I'm really excited to be able to adjust my schedule so that I can come out here and get some stuff done. All right. Well, I'm going to get back on wiring, and then I'll see you tomorrow when we pull the wheels off the Nova and kind of start taking a look at that. Let me show you a little progress. So this, I just pulled out of my harness, all this wire. Now I keep this stuff because I like to use it on other projects, but that is a whole lot of wire. Now, still a giant mess down here. I have a lot to clean up and take care of and things to that extent. But what I did is I carefully went through the harness and I de-pinned what didn't need to be there. So there's a lot of stuff that's missing. In fact, this whole row only has one pin in it, and it was actually pretty easy to de-pin. Let me see where I put the little clips. So unfortunately, I had to pull off this rubber gasket that's really not good anymore. I don't know if I can find these or not. Little foam gasket that helps keep it prevented from water getting in it and stuff. But these little blue clips in here, they just pull out. And then if I can find my tool, basically you just push down on these tab here, then you push back on the wire itself and it comes right out. So now that I'm done, let me lock it all back in together by putting this back in. Maybe. Kind of hard to do one-handed. There we go. And it just kind of clips back in, and all of them are back in place. So now that's done, and I got rid of all that junk wiring that was in the engine bay. Plus, like, I was able to get a couple wires here, like this orange and blue one here went to the AC clutch, and then the blue, the dark blue thicker wire, actually went to the AC clutch itself. So this was the trigger wire, and this was what sends power to the AC clutch. Well, I can repurpose this for my transmission and then just relabel my relay here. So that's kind of a good benefit from doing this kind of stuff, is you can repurpose some of the stuff you don't use anymore. So I'm done for now. I've still got a huge mess and I still got a lot to do, but it's going to be a whole lot cleaner once it all goes back together. So I'm excited about that. All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow when we work on the Nova. So it's the time of year where I start seeing some of my friends putting up their cars for winter and working on their winter projects and all that stuff. Well, for us down here in Southeast Texas, we're pulling these guys out and driving them this time of year. In fact, I just went to Ace Hardware and I saw a C3 Corvette on the way, a Mustang, and a 68 Chevelle that passed me when I went down to go get some bolts for the Dakota. And it's Thursday. So yeah, it's that time of year for us. But I can't drive this thing. So the last time I worked on it, we put some mufflers on it, changed the oil and some stuff like that. And I found out that the brakes are messed up. It's got a really, really spongy pedal and the master cylinder was low. So, little story on the Nova. I'm going to actually do a full video on the Nova. I'm hoping here in the next couple weeks to explain the whole backstory of it. But when I got the Nova, it had a locked up master cylinder, and a friend of mine gave me one that was for Camaro, but I think it was for 69 or 70 because the chambers are swapped. So I did some finagling and got it to work with this. I kind of moved this hose right here and some stuff like that. And well, you know, it was okay. So I think that stuff's all right, but I want it to be correct. So I'm actually gonna order all new lines and things to that extent. Plus, I put my what do you call it? Oh, look at that! I put my line lock on it, and I believe the line lock is leaking. From where? I don't know, but it does seem like it's leaking. So that might be some of our problem there. So I'm gonna have to look into that. But I also think it's leaking underneath where I put my brake lines at. So last thing I want to do tonight is pull this wheel off, wheel tire, all of it, and take a look at that and see if we can figure out what's going on there, because it definitely is getting air in the system from somewhere. So it's either the line lock or the lines or something. They're stainless steel lines, so they shouldn't be leaking, but the last time I was under it, I saw some corrosion. So let's get the wheel off and start looking. Not big enough. That's not gonna work. All right, gotta get the air. That's a little better. All right, so this is some of the concern that I had when I saw this. It is quite corroded underneath here, but it's really not that bad. So I'm not feeling any kind of fluid anywhere. This Teflon is clean, the brake line is clean. I'm not convinced this is where this is coming from after all, which is why I wanted to pull off the wheel to find out. So, look how gross and nasty this is, which tells me I'm pretty sure something has been leaking for a while. Let's see if I can show you underneath here. So this is the other thing I noticed when we were underneath it, working on the exhaust. Now, I don't know, that kind of looks like oil more than it does brake fluid. It's not warm. So I wonder if that steering box is on its way out. I feel like you should taste this, but I'm not gonna find out. But yeah, this thing is gross. But right above it is the brake stuff, and so what's going on? What's going on? I need to clean that thing out. I'm in a very dangerous position. I'm going to move, but there's definitely something going on here. I just can't tell what it is. Kind of looks like oil to you, right? Kind of looks like it to me, but also the way it's caked on there could be brake fluid. So I don't really know. It's pretty gross. Definitely needs some attention down here. I'm gonna have to pull that thing off and clean it off eventually. I want to put power steering on the car anyway, so maybe soon is the time. But yeah, well, I think I've got some more inspecting to do. All right, I just got a pretty good dab of this stuff, I guess you could call it, but it's almost a little red. So, let's go back over here and look at this line lock. And right now it's somewhat dry, but I can feel some liquid. But I'm not seeing anything on the top of the steering box. So the top of the steering box doesn't match the bottom of the steering box. So what do we have going on? I don't think whatever's coming out of the steering box is related. I think that's something else. I was actually just finished editing this video here, and I had a skirt moment, if you know what that means. I decided to pull the bolts out of the master cylinder to take a look to see if it may be leaking into the brake booster. And guess what? I can fit you guys in here. All this right here, and some of it's already kind of absorbed into the brake booster. All that is fluid, and it's dripping down. And as soon as I pulled the master cylinder away from the brake booster, while I drop everything, all that fluid came out, which means the seal in the back of the master cylinder is no good. So I for sure need a master cylinder. So I got some work to do to figure out on parts and stuff like that, because I don't know if I want to replace it with all factory stuff or do I want to upgrade it. Being that it's a Survivor car, probably going to be factory stuff. But gotta do some digging. But I'm moving it around down there, and I can see fluid coming out of it. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But anyway, just take my word for it. I know what's wrong with it. That master cylinder is bad, and I probably need to get that out of there before it causes any more havoc on that brake booster. So at least I know what's wrong. like I said, it's kind of just a short one, just going over a couple things today and getting a lot of wiring done. So making progress a little bit at a time. Sometimes that's all you got. So thanks for coming along. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hanging out with us. We have a whole lot of stuff going on all the time. This is a shorter video than usual. Usually the videos are probably about 25 to 30 minutes. Not sure how long this one will be, as I do tend to jabber sometimes. But hey, it's part of the whole YouTube thing, right? Just jabbering along. I got good news about merch. It should be coming here soon. They actually finally shipped it out. So I can't wait to see that, see how it comes out. And if it looks good, I'll share it with you guys. And big things this weekend on the Dakota. So we're gonna mount the trans cooler. We're gonna make the lines for it. And once that's done, we can put the exhaust on, get cooking on that. Once that's done, bed goes on, trucks start going back together. So not a whole lot left. And I think in the next couple weeks, we can really knock it all out. So, all right, well, I'll see you guys next time. You guys know the deal. Until next time, y'all be good.